Recording started. Zoom out button.
Well, good morning, dear students. You see, first of all, I'd say I wish you a very happy Eid because this is the third day, and so we can still wish each other. It's not still stale. It's not um, gone yet. So hope you would, or rather wish you that you would enjoy it even today. Sorry. Very sorry. So, as you're aware that the online teaching has started, but due to certain technical issues, I have not been able to post you any audio or video note. In fact, I recorded one earlier, but due to some technical hitches, I had to delete that. So, I'm recording once again, and I hope this time I'd be successful. So, uh, as things stand, I told you earlier that the two poems by Milton would be done by Miss Azra Parveen, and so I'd come directly to Blake because we have completed the first poem in our course, that is by John Donne, and I've given comments on your assignments as well. So, but before that, so far I've been posting you audio notes. From now onwards, I'd post you video notes. Of course, the video quality would not be good because for the time being you would only be able to see the black screen. Later on, I hope, as I secure equipment, you would be able to see the image also. Well, anyway, I hope the audio quality would be good enough and you would have a better audio quality this time. So you can watch those videos on your WhatsApp group as well and on the web page of our school as usual, and also now on my YouTube channel. I've recently launched a YouTube channel called Learn English with Akhlaq Ahmed, and I'd request all of you to subscribe and to like. Even if you don't like it, please like, because I plan to monetize it and ask as many of your acquaintances and friends to subscribe it, as possible. So please help me out. So it'll be convenient for you because on YouTube you won't have to download it. You can watch it, pause it, forward it, rewind it according to your convenience. Or if you wish, you can download it even in audio form. That would consume less MBs and less data. So, you see, that's the current situation. Now, let's come to Blake. First of all, I'd give you some information regarding the ideas and concepts that we need to know before studying Blake. Then I'll read out to you all information related to Blake and the poems given in the book. And of course, I'll give you the theme of the two poems as well, and then we'll start the text. But in this voice note, I'll try to cover the introduction because otherwise it will be too long. So, when we study Blake, we have to understand two or three things. First, his concept of innocence and experience. and then his use of private symbols. Now, coming first to concept of innocence and experience. You see, let's first understand the concept of fall. According to Christianity and according to Islam, God created Adam and Eve and then created heaven and asked them to reside in heaven and enjoy life. But they were not allowed to eat a certain fruit, called as forbidden fruit. Now, you see, we are not sure what that fruit is. Well, various commentators have guessed. Some say it was wheat. But whatever it was, they were not allowed to eat that. But Satan, conspired against Adam and provoked him and incited him and convinced him that he should eat it. So both Adam and Eve ate that fruit and ultimately faced God's wrath. They were banished from heaven and sent to earth. That's how life started on earth. So this banishment of Adam and Eve from heaven is known as fall. And their life, or the situation before fall, when they were in heaven and enjoying life, is called pre-fall state. And once they arrived on earth, that is the post-fall state. The only difference between the Christian concept and the Islamic concept is that while Christians believe that we are all facing the penalty of Adam, because Adam ate that fruit and so he was banished to earth, and that's how mankind started, and we are all suffering on earth. And they believe that Jesus Christ washed the sins of humanity with his blood when he was crucified. But according to Islamic belief, actually God, forgave Adam and Eve when they repented. And God showed them the way. That is, even while being on earth, they can achieve heaven again. Rather, this applies to all human beings. And remember, Adam was sent to this planet as a prophet, not as an ordinary human being. यानी अल्लाह ताला ने आदम अलैहिस्सलाम को माफ़ फरमा दिया और फिर उन्हें जन्नत का रास्ता भी दिखाया, जो हमारे लिए है, हमारे लिए भी है। यानी कि हम अगर अच्छे अमल करते हैं तो जन्नत हासिल कर सकते हैं। तो इस तरह इस्लाम में कोई ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है कि कोई हो जो हमारे सिंस को धोए, That is why we as Muslims believe that Christ was neither crucified nor was he killed. He was raised unto heaven, and God made things to appear like that. People got confused. This was because God wanted to test the people at that time. यानी अल्लाह ने उनको आजमाइश में डाल दिया। तो हज़रत ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम को ना तो सलीब पे ही चढ़ाया गया, ना उनका कत्ल हुआ, उनको अल्लाह ने ऐसे ही उठा लिया आसमान पे। और जैसा कि हम जानते हैं कि क़यामत के करीब वो फिर दुनिया में तशरीफ़ लाएंगे, लेकिन इस बार एक नबी की हैसियत से नहीं, बल्कि एक हुज़ूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के एक उम्मती की हैसियत से। तो अल्लाह ताला ने ये इसलिए किया क्योंकि वो उस वक्त के लोगों को आजमाना चाहता था, क्योंकि वो बहुत नाफरमान हो गए थे। सो प्लीज़ रिमेंबर दिस क्रिश्चियन an Islamic aspect of fall, because we in our schools are very often, taught the Christian concept. That is why I mentioned the Islamic concept as well. Anyway, now coming to Blake. Well, Blake was an atheist, and as I told you in my introduction to poetry, that he, according to some critics, is a pre-romantic. Some say that he was a romantic poet. Well, actually, he rebelled against the school of Pope and Dryden, didn't actually follow those rules of poetry, prosody, etc., which they used to follow. He composed lyrics, used images and symbols, etc., and expressed his personal feelings also. So, anyway, he developed his own mythology in his book of Jobs. That is a set of books published by Blake. I'll try to find out the year of publication and give you. You see, anyway, in this book, he divided human faculty into 4 categories. That is loss, L-O-S-S, loss, that is imagination. Urizen, U-R-I-Z-O-N, reason, that is urizen means reasons. And then L-O-U-V-A, lova, this means desire. And then thermos, T-H-E-R-M-O-S, thermos. I'll check the spelling once again and let you know the correct version or rather confirmed version in the next voice note. So this thermos means sensation. So I repeat: loss, urizen, luva, and thermos. Imagination, reason, desire, and sensation, respectively. Now he believed that loss or the imagination was the real God, and urizen, that is reason, somehow usurped his throne and became false God. And it was this false God who ordered Adam and Eve not to eat the forbidden fruit. Because if they were in heaven, then heaven means no restriction, complete freedom. So, it was Urizen who was cruel and imposed a restriction on Adam and Eve and asked them not to eat a certain fruit. So this was real fall according to Blake, But anyway, देखिए ये तो एक उसकी अपनी सोच थी. आप ज़रूरी नहीं कि इससे इत्तेफाक करें. But we can see it from a psychological point of view as well. You see, human personality, according to Blake, is divided in 4 aspects: imagination, reason, desire, and sensation. Now, Blake believed that desire in itself is not evil, but it becomes evil when it is suppressed unnecessarily. Now, देखिए, ख्वाहिशात ही जो हैं वो बुराई की जड़ होती हैं, क्योंकि जैसा कि हम मानते हैं कि नफ्स होता है आदमी में, यानी एक ईविल डिज़ायर होती है. एक तो हमारे अंदर का गुड है, एक ईविल डिज़ायर होती है, और हम अपनी ख्वाहिशात को पूरा करने के लिए कोई ना कोई सिन करते हैं. So Blake believed that if desire is suppressed, then it becomes evil, otherwise it in itself is not evil. And Islam also gives us freedom to fulfill our desire in a particular manner. हर चीज़ का हमें एक तरीक़ा बताया गया है कि हम खा भी सकते हैं, पी भी सकते हैं, सो भी सकते हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा सा एक ये है कि क्या खा सकते हैं क्या नहीं खा सकते, ये हमें बता दिया गया है. अब उस हिसाब से हमें अपनी डिज़ायर्स को बैलेंस करना है. बट दैट इज़ द इस्लामिक बिलीफ, यू नो. Now, what happens if our personality is controlled or ruled by imagination? Then we experience heaven. But if it is controlled or ruled by reason, then we experience hell. Or if any other element apart from imagination begins dominating the personality, then we experience hell. Now, before proceeding further, I would, try to address one of your curiosities. You might ask me, what's wrong with reason? You know, reason in itself is not a bad thing. Well, you're quite right. And here we are not actually talking about the common sense. We are talking about abstract reasoning. When a person tries to find out the reason, cause behind everything, if God has, for example, you know, prohibited a thing or allowed a thing, we should not unnecessarily try to put questions on it. Why is it so? How is it so? I'll give you an example. During the time of Moses, Bani Israel जिसे हम कहते हैं, they were asked to sacrifice a cow, as a repentance. उनसे कहा गया कि वो एक गाय ज़बह करें कफ़ारे के तौर पे. And they started raising question, how old it should be, what should be the height, what should be the color. So the God kept replying to their queries. As you know, जैसा कि आपको पता है, हज़रत मूसा का खिताब है कलीमुल्लाह, आप अल्लाह ताला से कलाम करते थे. So God kept replying, and at the end they had to sacrifice a cow which was considered to be pious in their culture. जो उनके मज़हब में, जो उनके तहज़ीब में मुक़द्दस जानी जाती थी, उस गाय को उन्हें मजबूरन ज़बह करना पड़ा क्योंकि कंडीशंस इस तरह की हो गई. So putting unnecessary conditions and trying to apply abstract reasoning. देखिए, abstract reasoning की मिसाल हमें human abstract में मिलेगी जब हम वो poem करेंगे. तो it doesn't mean common sense. There's nothing wrong with common sense, nothing bad with common sense. So, you see, what was I talking about? You see, the disintegration of human personality. When we think imaginatively, we accept nature as it is, we accept good as it is, evil as it is, and enjoy life. We don't unnecessarily question something good as why is good, under what condition it is good, how can it be good. No. The good is accepted as it is, evil is accepted as it is. No ifs and buts. So, our personality should be governed by imagination. According to Blake, once we fall in experience, in the state of experience, we can achieve higher innocence by trying to achieve the dominance of imagination. Now, our poems are taken from songs of innocence and songs of experience. This is a collection of poems, Songs of Innocence and Experience by William Blake, in which each poem has a counterpart. That is, each poem in the Songs of Innocence has a counterpart in the Songs of Experience. The poem in the Innocence shows the imaginative approach, and the joys. And the poem in the experience shows the reverse of it. That is, what happens when reason dominates, and how evil gets control of us, and how we experience hell. So remember, innocence and experience in Blake are more states of mind rather than stages of life. ये जहनी कैफियत हैं, ना कि जिंदगी की different stages, you know. So it happens that a moment we experience innocence, a moment we experience hell. Sorry, yes, experience. So innocence in Blake as a concept does not mean childhood. जैसे कि वर्ड्सवर्थ में या और दूसरे पोइट्स में innocence का अक्सर मतलब childhood लिया जाता है, लेकिन नहीं. Innocence in Blake means a state of heaven, which we experience when imagination dominates our personality. So this is the concept of imagination and experience. Now, Blake, because obviously he had to express this kind of approach or these attitudes in his poetry, so he developed private symbols in order to, express or communicate these ideas, in order to effectively manage these ideas. क्योंकि जब आइडियाज़ इतने ओरिजिनल और डिफरेंट हैं तो उनके लिए वो लैंग्वेज और सिंबल्स भी डिफरेंट होनी चाहिए. सो ही क्रिएटेड हिज ओन सिंबल्स. नाउ symbols can chiefly be categorized in three groups. We have universal or archetypal symbols. These symbols are very well known, and they have a universal meaning. मतलब आम जो सिंबल्स होते हैं जिनका कि एक जनरल मीनिंग होता है. फॉर एग्जांपल, रिवर इज द सिंबल ऑफ लाइफ, क्योंकि जल जीवन है, तो जीवन है तो रिवर इज द सिंबल ऑफ लाइफ. माउंटेन में स्टैंड फॉर ग्लोरी एंड सो ऑन. Then there is the category of personal symbols. Now, personal symbols acquire their meaning from the context, and if they are used quite often in a poet's works or in a writer's works, then they become personal symbols. The meanings of personal symbols is, or rather, are derived from universal symbols. मतलब इनका जो मीनिंग होता है वो यूनिवर्सल सिंबल से ही डेवलप होता है, लेकिन जो जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ये यूज़ हो रहे हैं उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट से इनका मीनिंग ग्रो करता है, और अगर इन्हें पोइट बार बार यूज़ करता है तो ये पर्सनल सिंबल्स हो जाते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, स्टेयर, STAIR, स्टेयर इन T.S. Eliot's पोएट्री सिंबलाइज वे टू गॉड, यानी रब तक पहुंचने का रास्ता. Now, usually, stare does not symbolize that, isn't it? But in Blake's poetry, it so happens. In T.S. Eliot's poetry. Now, you see, अब इसमें और प्राइवेट सिंबल में फ़र्क यही है कि ये इनका मीनिंग जो है कॉन्टेक्स्ट से ग्रो करता है और यूनिवर्सल सिंबल से ही निकलता है. Whereas the meaning of private symbols is private. That is, ग्रो तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट से ही करेगा. आपको प्राइवेट सिंबल्स का मीनिंग जानने के लिए वो वर्ड्स समझने की कोशिश करनी पड़ेगी, कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझने की कोशिश करनी पड़ेगी, लेकिन वो मीनिंग यूनिवर्सल मीनिंग से हटके होगा. That meaning of a private symbol would be different from the meaning that the universal symbol has. Let's take the example of rose. अब इसकी यूनिवर्सल जो मीनिंग है या जो यूनिवर्सली जो ये सिंबलाइज करता है वो आप ब्यूटी कह सकते हैं. रोज सिंबलाइजेस ब्यूटी और लव. बट इन ब्लेक, रोज स्टैंड्स फॉर सेक्स, earthly love. So you see, मीनिंग तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट से डेवलप हुआ, लेकिन आर्केटाइपल या यूनिवर्सल सिंबल से बिल्कुल अलग है। पर्सनल सिंबल में भी यही होता है, लेकिन पर्सनल सिंबल में ये यूनिवर्सल मीनिंग से जुड़ा हो सकता है, क्योंकि जैसे मैंने आपको स्टेयर की मिसाल दी, स्टेयर हमें नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ ले जाती हैं, तो लॉजिकली और कॉमन सेंस में हम ये कह सकते हैं कि हाँ, ये वे टू गॉड है, वे टू गॉड के लिए स्टैंड कर सकती हैं। मगर रोज, एज इन ब्लेक, हैज अ प्राइवेट मीनिंग, so he used private symbols. There are certain private symbols in Blake's poetry, and I'll point that out when we come to the poem. There are some 2 or 3 private symbols. Now, after having understood symbolism in Blake and concept of innocence and experience, you see, please note down the theme of the 2 poems. First, the theme of divine image. The theme of this poem is virtue leads to genuine happiness when man is governed by imagination. I repeat, virtue leads to genuine happiness when man is governed by imagination. Now the theme of human abstract. Virtue gets degenerated. Virtue gets degenerated into evil when man is governed by experience. When man is governed by experience. I repeat, virtue gets degenerated into evil when man is governed by experience. अब देखिए, ये थीम तो बस इतना सही है, बाकी आप इनको पोएम्स की डिटेल से एलैबोरेट करना पड़ेगा। जब हमारी पर्सनालिटी में इमेजिनेशन डोमिनेट करता है, तब तो जो वर्चूज़ हैं उनसे क्या मिलता है हमें? जेन्युइन हैप्पीनेस। और जब एब्स्ट्रैक्ट रीजनिंग या रीजन या डोमिनेट करने लगता है, तो फिर वर्चू, सेम वर्चू जो है वो ईवल में कन्वर्ट हो जाती है और हमें एक हेल एक्सपीरियंस होता है। तो जो इन दोनों थीम में हमने रीज़न और इमेजिनेशन के वर्ड इस्तेमाल किए हैं, आप इनकी जगह लॉस और यूरिजन भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। दिस वील सी व्हेन वी डू द पोएम हाउ इट हैपन्स। वी विल सी इट व्हेन वी डू द टेक्स्ट। नाउ let's read the information given about Blake in the book before coming to the difficult words in the poem. There are not many difficult words, but still I'll give you the meanings in the next voice note. But for the time being, let's read about Blake and the other information given about the 2 poems and William Blake. So William Blake, his dates are given here, 1757 to 1827. Please remember that the Romantic era formally starts from 1798. Okay, let's read this introduction. William Blake was a poet, painter and engraver. That is, he used to carve shapes on metals. He abhorred the rationalism and materialism of his times. Abhorred means hated, detested, to hate greatly, बेहद नफरत करना. What he saw and painted were human beings beset with evil, yet striving for the divine within them. That is, beset with evil, surrounded with evil. So he depicted people who actually seem to be surrounded with evil. Still, they are trying to achieve the divine quality within their personality so that they can get rid of evil. These kinds of people he depicted in Songs of Innocence and Experience. Blake's lyrics appeared in two sets of volumes, that is, Songs of Innocence, from which the divine image has been chosen, and the Songs of Experience, from which the human abstract has been taken, representing the two contrary states of human soul. As I told you, the two contrary states of human mind, that is, innocence and experience. Most of the poems in the first volume have counterparts in the second. This I told you earlier. Counterparts, a duplicate copy, that is, each poem has a related poem in the other volume, and the poems in Innocence show how we experience happiness when we are governed by imagination, and the poems in Experience show how we are victimized by evil when we are governed by reason. Now they've given us another piece of information about Blake here, that Blake's poetry was published in a manner most unusual in literature and art history. He personally manufactured each copy, that is, each copy of the poem. The verses were not typeset, that is, they were not typed, but with engravings that illustrated them cut in copper plates. So they were cut in copper plates. The pages themselves he illuminated in watercolors. So if you buy Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, you will get to see a picture also which illustrates the poem. So that's why Blake can be called the first multimedia artist, because he used this sort of technique. No one has done it apart from Blake, or rather, he was the first to do it, to illustrate his poems with a picture. Now, please remember that certain words in the poems are capitalized. Sometimes, that's not because they are personified at all places, and at some places they are. But they are given, because the words are so important, the keywords, that's why they are capitalized. There may be other reasons as well, for example, to add vitality to them, and to give them a certain character, either the evil character or a good character. Then, another important feature of the two poems is that in the first poem, each stanza is of 4 lines. In the second poem also, each stanza is of 4 lines. But in the first poem, the first line is longer, the second is shorter. Right? Now this pattern is reversed in the second poem. In the second poem, the first line is shorter and the second is longer. Now, for example, in Divine Image, the first line has 8 syllables and the second line has 6 syllables only. And remember, 2 syllables in a line of poem make what we call a foot in poetry, F-O-O-T, foot in poetry. 2 syllables. यानी ये जो मीटर इस्तेमाल होता है पोइट्री में, तो मीटर को जो हम डिवाइड करते हैं तो इसकी सबसे छोटी यूनिट जो होती है वो फुट कहलाती है. And 1 foot in poetry has 2 syllables. So the divine image, the first line of each stanza has 8 syllables. That means 4 feet. The second line has 6 syllables. That means 3 feet. And similarly, the third also has 8. The fourth also has 6. ये पैटर्न चलता चला जाता है. First और third 8 syllables. Second और fourth 6 syllables. तो इसी तरह से फिर दूसरे स्टैंजा में भी होता है. और सॉन्ग्स ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस में ये उलट जाता है. फर्स्ट और थर्ड 6 syllables हो जाते हैं और सेकेंड और फोर्थ 8 syllables हो जाते हैं. तो 8 syllables का मतलब क्या हुआ? 4 feet. यानी 2 syllables are equal to 1 foot. और 6 syllables का मतलब 3 foot. Now in case of the divine image, remember the first syllable is unstressed and the second is stressed. So I'll repeat it again. For example, I'll read the first line of the divine image. To mercy, pity, peace and love. So let's count. To mercy, pity, peace and love. You may count, these are 8 syllables. 2 is unstressed, so we'll say 2. And in mercy, mer is stressed. So to mercy, pity, peace and love, and is not stressed. So this is one way of the one quality. Now I'll give you the reason. In the first poem, that is in the divine image, the pattern suggests that the speaker is in a joyful mood, he is relaxed, he is tension free, and the rhythm communicates this. It will be an important point when you attempt a critical appreciation. In the second poem, what happens, because Blake has consciously kept the first and the third line shorter and reversed that pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables, so the rhythm becomes tensed and it suggests that the speaker is in tension, the speaker is upset, the speaker is in a very sad mood. So the rhythm of the 2 poems communicate this. Now let me also talk a bit about how the songs of innocence and experience are created. You see, in the prologue to Songs of Innocence, the poet seems to be very happy. He is satisfied with everything. The world, the whole universe is well in order. He enjoys freedom, and on the request of the child, the bard, B-A-R-D, bard, or the poet, sings again. And that song becomes the Song of Innocence. There are many songs, and all of them have taken the form of poems and songs of innocence. Now the prologue in the Songs of Experience shows that the same bard who seems to be very happy in the prologue to Songs of Innocence is now very tensed, sad, depressed, shaken, fallen. He notices that there is disorder in the universe, and he requests the earth to come to its previous state, previous condition. But the earth refuses to do so and retorts angrily. Now, the earth's reply becomes the Songs of Experience. There are many songs, you see, and all songs of experience show anger and the fallen state of human being, depression, sadness, all kinds of social, moral issues are there. So that's how songs of innocence and experience are created. So this then is the introduction to Blake. You know, uh, now I mean, the file would be too long. Already it would be of about 100 MB. So I'll complete this voice note here, and in the next voice note, I'll give you the meanings of difficult words, and we'll take up the first poem in our course. I'll post this on your WhatsApp group as well as on the YouTube channel I told you earlier, Learn English with Akhlaq Ahmed, with the title Introduction to Blake, and you can also find it on the web page of our school. So, for the time being, um, let's stop here. Goodbye from me.
Back button. Stop button.